Okay, hello everyone. I want to share with you today all the materials that we used in order to do our ancient Egypt unit study. You can see a lot of the materials here. I want to first though start with our finished projects. So here you can see our finished projects. We painted Egyptian tiles, we made canopic jars, we actually made these really great, we actually excavated these, and then there's mummies inside that try and pull this one down, that we wrapped the little mummies. It all came in the kit. Really great little kits from Rainbow Resource. We used some clay and they made pyramids. We made this 3D puzzle. This was from Walmart. It's a Sphinx. And then this is just another canopic jar. So it's some of the materials or some of the finished projects. We're actually missing one, but I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, so here are all the materials. This unit study, I had originally planned for it to take 6 weeks and then we would take a 1-week break. It actually took 8 weeks. There's still things we didn't get to, but we just dove deeper into things or took a little bit longer on some areas that my kids were showing interest on. And then last minute, like spur of the moment decision, sort of. We had planned for my boys to spend some time with my parents this summer, but we ended up being able to meet up with them and they wanted to take Dorothy too, and ended up being a little earlier than we initially thought it was going to be, but it just worked out with everybody's schedules. My parents have neighbors that are my kids' age. The kids are having a blast. So it was totally worth it to go ahead and wrap up the unit study and start sort of our summer break, which my kids typically get a 1-month summer break. They get breaks throughout the school year. We do 6 weeks on, 1 week off. So they get plenty of breaks. So a 1-month summer break is plenty. But anyway, so they're off having their summer break with Nani and Granddaddy, having a good time. They're going to go to Disney. They're going to get dive certified, the boys. So it's going to be a great time for them. But now it's time to take down all of these unit study materials and put up my stuff for our next unit study. And so I wanted to show you guys the materials that we used for this. So I, as like sort of like the spine or the backbone of the curriculum, used the Live Education Culture of Egypt. I like these. Some main lesson blocks I like better than others. Our Ancient India one, I didn't love the material in here so much, but we really did love learning about ancient India. And then what was the other one? Oh, the geometry and number. The Live Education geometry and number was fabulous. The content was fabulous. Really loved it. This one was okay, but I felt like it definitely needed some extra things thrown into it personally. But they had really, really great stories in here. So we kind of use this as sort of the backbone, or sort of like the outline of our unit. We kind of followed the topics in this, but like elaborated on them. Or for some of them, we kind of like just went a different direction that was easier to understand than the way they presented it in here. So for me to present to the kids, because that's what these are meant for. These aren't meant to read out loud. Most of them, they're mostly meant for you to absorb and then teach it, which isn't my favorite, but I do like a lot of the content in these Live Education main lessons, and I bought them, so we're using them. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm going to start pulling stuff off, and then we're just going to go right through it. So we have Mummies Made in Egypt by Aliki. This is a good one. We really did like it. It's just all about mummies, how they were preserved, how they were buried. A lot of the content surrounding mummies in ancient Egypt, you're going to find repetitive from book to book, but sometimes the pictures or the way that it's told, or things like that make it interesting. And so it is good to have a couple different books. We have Mummies in Egypt by Aliki. We have You Wouldn't Want to Be Cleopatra. We always love these books so much. They're so great. Fast Forward Egyptian Mummies. We actually really did like this one. Some of the pictures were really nice. The content is good. And it was like cool. I remember we liked seeing this with the gold toes and the finger caps. This was a good one. Egypt in the Spectacular Cross Section. These are always really fun. I love the cross section books. So this one, you start on a journey down the Nile, or through the Nile, I guess is more. Anyways, you start on a journey in the Nile, and so we really did read through this whole entire book piece by piece, reading every story through the temples, Valley of the Kings. We really read through this, and the kids had fun really looking at the picture. Sometimes you can find some funny little pieces of the picture if you look closely. So this is more about the Nile, Ramses Palace. So this was a really good book as well. I got this used off of, I think, Thrift Books. All right. So then this is a CD that we never got to. I'm so bummed. So by the time we were ready to leave on our trip to hand our kids over to my parents, we were going to be going on a 8-hour road trip. And I was like, where is that Egyptian Treasures CD? Because now's the time we can use it, because we don't have a CD player in our house. And so I was like, we'll just listen to it like when we do a road trip, and like, or when we're out running errands. Well, this CD fell behind one of the bookcases, and so I wasn't able to find it like the whole time that we were doing the unit study. And then I searched and searched whenever we were about to go on this road trip, and I couldn't find it. And then, while my kids have been gone, I have been going through their rooms, going through the toy room. Like every day I go through a different room, or I go through a different area. I want to go through our built-in craft closet here soon. I want to go through my kitchen cabinets. Like, I've been trying to make it through all the different areas of our house that this normally kind of like a cabinet gets closed and I forget about it because I'm like just too busy, or it's just not a priority. But anyway, so I was cleaning the playroom. I moved a bookshelf, and this was behind it. So it's still in the wrapping. We didn't even get to use it, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll use it at another point, at some point. The Great Pyramid. So this book, we did read cover to cover. We read this book cover to cover. It is just all about the Great Pyramid. We learned about mastabas, some different religious beliefs. King Khufu, I believe, was in here. There were some fold-out pages, some good pictures. I liked it. I would say that if you are putting together a unit study, if you can't find this book, just skip it. There's other books that have the same content. And this is largely about King Khufu. But yeah, and I think there were some real pictures. Yeah. So it was good. It was just not, this isn't a must. I would say that the cross section and the Cleopatra book, this book, all better types of literature, like, you know what I mean, than that one. But if you're just looking for a book about the Great Pyramid specifically, that one works well. I love this book. We used this to do some like journaling pages whenever we were, just trying to like do some activities while I would read or whatever. It's the Ralph Masiello's Ancient Egypt Drawing Book. This would be good if you do chalk drawings as well. This would be a great book. We just used them to doodle. So there's the Great Pyramid page. We did a lot on this page with the symbols. We did a lot of drawing with that. And then when we went through in here, the different stories of the different gods and goddesses, if they were in this book, the steps to draw them were in this book, we drew them. And then we wrote like their name and like a little sentence or something about what we learned about them. But I really like this book a lot. And my kids did as well. Inside the Tomb of Tutankhamun, really liked this book as well. Also bought this used. This was a really great book. It's just, the layout is they give you a little, snippet to read. You get a nice picture, maybe some smaller pictures with some little bits to read underneath them. But like each page has its own theme, the Pharaoh and his people. And we read through this one page by page, front to back. We really liked these. There wasn't a ton of reading, but the pictures were really nice to go along with what you were reading about. And so we really enjoyed these. We enjoyed learning about Howard Carter as well and Lord Carnarvon. Those were all fun things to learn about, really interesting things to learn about. We like anytime we found a page that showed kind of the different layers that a mummy would have been sort of buried in. My kids really enjoyed that. They found that really interesting. The different layered coffins, the embalming process was really interesting to them. The amulets that would get wrapped in the different layers of linen when they were wrapping and preserving a body was really fascinating to my children. And so I really, really liked this book. And at first glance, it might look a little bit like, oh, it's like a DK Eyewitness book, or, it's like just informational. It's not going to be anything amazing, but this was really good. I think it was really good for my kids' ages. They're my two boys who were primarily the ones doing this unit study with me. My daughter did some, but she just turned 5, so not very much. She didn't do very much of this unit study, but my boys are ages 9 and 12, and they really liked the content in this book, and they liked the pictures a lot. Okay, my 12-year-old favorite book for the entire unit study was this one right here, Pharaohs and Foot Soldiers, 100 Ancient Egyptian Jobs You Might Have Desired or Dreaded. And he was so excited to read this that every day he was like, I'll do the read aloud, or I'll read aloud the jobs. It just goes through literally all the jobs, all the things that needed to be done and the people who did those things in this time period. And they loved it. My oldest really loved it. This was, like I said, his absolute favorite book of the whole unit that we did. He loved it. And there are other books in this same sort of series. We have this one, this medieval jobs one. We also have one about like biblical days. See, this one we don't have. This one, Cowboys and Coffin Makers. Okay, so this was a great one. Highly recommend that one. Okay, Mummy Mysteries. This is one I had my 9-year-old kind of do as his assigned reading. He doesn't like to read. He doesn't like to have to write or spell. It's not his strong suit, but it's because he doesn't like it that it's not his strong suit. So that's okay. I just choose sort of reading at this type of a level for him where he doesn't get overwhelmed. It's not like a ton of words on a page, tiny text. He gets really discouraged by that. So we did this for him for this, and it was good. It was informational. It was not too long. It had decent pictures. It kept him interested. And so, that's that. 5,000-Year-Old Puzzle. This is a picture book that they enjoyed about a boy who goes to a dig site or an excavation site with his dad, and it follows him like a journal as he kind of solves different mysteries based on the clues that they find. It talks about how they logged everything on this excavation and all of that. So we really liked this one. They liked the pictures. This is a good, solid picture book, living book with real, actual good information in it. This is the Kingfisher Mummies book. We read a few pages out of this. We did not read this one cover to cover. We did love reading about the man in ice. This is all about mummies, the natural mummies that are preserved because of the elements that they exist in, and then also mummies that were preserved on purpose, that were wrapped and, covered in oils and the type of salt that they, packed them in and stuff like that. So that one's a good one. This one is definitely more along the lines of like how a DK Eyewitness book sort of is. So every page wasn't amazing. Lots of good pictures. I will tell you that if you have young ones, there are some pictures that might be a little scary. For my kids though, 9 and 12, both boys, this was fine. But you have to know your kids. So if you think it's, you have a little one that maybe you have like a 6-year-old boy and this kind of thing kind of scares him or is creepy to him, then you might want to hold off on something like this that, your call. But there's that. Okay, moving on. I'm like sitting on the floor here trying to get this done. The 2 assigned readings for there was 1 assigned reading for my oldest. It was the Pharaohs of Ancient Egypt. It was purely informational. He didn't think the storyline was anything great, but he said he did learn a lot. He told me this in his reading log, which I have him do after he reads a book, an assigned reading book, not just any book. He can read books without having to do that, but assigned reading, I have him do a reading log page. So he learned a lot in this, but he said that the story wasn't exciting. Like he didn't feel like it was an exciting story. He felt like it was purely informational. He learned a lot. I read this one aloud to both of my boys, Who Was King Tut. I love the Who Was books. This one's great. Okay, now let me get to the front here. We have a Mummies, Gods and Pharaohs fan decks. These fan decks are cool. They're nice to look at the pictures. Actually, my 5-year-old daughter really likes to look through these. We have them for a few different topics. Mostly I pick them up when I see them on kidsbooks.com or Book Outlet for really inexpensive. I'll go ahead and grab one to add to our collection, but you definitely don't need this one in particular, but it was nice. There was some good information. This is good to have, like, if you do a morning basket, this might be good to throw in your morning basket and just read one of these cards a morning might be nice. But there's that. Okay, some of the little activity book type things. We have these King Tut little sticker books. My kids, my 3 oldest, so my daughter, my 5-year-old, my 9-year-old, my 12-year-old, all use these. You can reposition the stickers, and basically in the back of the book, it was just a King Tut with, I think he just had like a cloth on him. Yeah, he just had like that little white cloth over him. And then you can just add whatever you want. And so actually my 9-year-old played with his a lot. I mean, he moved stickers around. They're supposed to be reusable stickers. That's what he looks like without any stickers on him. Then we have this Fun with Egyptian Stencils. This is another thing we used in our journaling. That was fun. Famous Figures of Ancient Times. These are like paper dolls. You just use brads to put them together. And they come with, everyone has one that's already in color and one that you can color. My boys just kind of take turns on who gets what. They made King Tut and who else? I suppose you could also copy these and then print them out on cardstock so that you could just reuse the book, but we found it was unnecessary. We just have them pick and choose who's going to do the colored one and who's going to have to color theirs. We did Khufu and Hatshepsut. I don't think King Tut was in here now that I'm looking at it. No, I think we did Khufu and Hatshepsut. You can find these on Amazon. They're cheaper at Rainbow Resource. They have them for all different time periods. We've actually used this same one when we did our Shakespeare unit study, and we touched a little bit on medieval times, which we're going to touch on heavier on next year because my 9-year-old, he specifically wants to learn about knights. So we'll do that next year. But this covers a couple different time periods. It's all ancient times. And like I said, this there are other periods of time that they cover in other books in this sort of series. Okay. Egyptology is a fun book. We actually used this in our car ride when we were taking them to my parents. And Lincoln and I sat together for some of the ride, and then Larry and I sat together for some of the ride, and we just went through and read the little bits and pieces of this. We took some of the little things out. This is like all about, again, another kind of like book focusing on like an excavation, a lot of it. So we went through here, and then there's actually a page that has the game Senate. See if I can find it. And right here, and the pieces are right in here. I was amazed that we still had all of them intact. And we actually played this. We spread this out and we played it, and it was really fun. If I could find a wooden game of this, I would probably do that. But this was a lot of fun. These books are fun to look at. They're fun to like flip the little things open and kind of read here and there. We have this type of a book for a couple different topics and periods of time. And they're just fun to look at. I don't know that they're like completely necessary because sometimes they're hard to like read through. They don't really flow through nicely all the time, but we really like them. Okay, communication in the ancient world. We used just a small bit of this because this covers different topics and areas. So we just focused on the pages for ancient Egypt, which I want to say was only two. No, I guess it was only this one page. I thought we read 2 pages. Anyways, we used this when we were talking about hieroglyphs. Not completely needed. Oh, sorry, it got dark, guys. I'm like standing in front of the light. It wasn't completely needed, but it was nice that we had it. You wouldn't want to be a pyramid builder. Again, we love, love, love these books so much. You wouldn't want to be an Egyptian mummy. Once again, really love these books. Lots of topics in history and science you can find with the You Wouldn't Want to Be books. Egyptian princess. I love these dresses, dressed through the ages. We have one for a Renaissance lady, and I loved it. My kids like to see what they wore, and sometimes they're really engaging. The Renaissance lady one was phenomenal. This one was good too, but I remember loving the Renaissance one because we learned like funny things about the shoes and things that the women would do. And they really interested oh my God, I cannot speak today. It was really interesting to my kids. Okay. Bill and Pete Go Down the Nile. This is a fun little sweet picture book about crocodiles. Actually, a school of crocodiles going on a field trip down the Nile. Really good for younger kids, this one. Okay, then we have DK Eyewitness, Ancient Egypt. This was all right. The I love DK books, but the eyewitness books specifically are a little bit more like a reference guide, I feel like, sometimes. Some of them we really love. Some of them are a little too broad, and there's like just way too many different spots and topics within the main topic that it branches off into. So they're all right. We looked at this one for pictures here and there. I think we may have read the Weapons of War page, and there may have been a few more pages we read about, but mostly we just used the picture. This is a good one. This picture was a nice one to kind of understand the inside of the pyramid, but you don't need it. If you are building your own curriculum and you wanted a spine to build off of, this might work well if you didn't have, like I had the live education one, but these might come in handy in those instances. They're not my favorite. DK makes far better books for my kids' age ranges than the eyewitness books, but I usually get them at library book sales for crazy cheap, so that's why I end up with them. Explore Ancient Egypt. We actually didn't get to go through this as much as I'd hoped to. I love these books. We have a money one that we have done the entire book cover to cover, and we really enjoyed it. Sometimes it's just hard to get to these things when you have other projects that you are already planning to do. But this is a really good one. If you didn't have, like we had obviously the canopic jar, we had the tile painting, we had the mummy excavation. We did use the clay and made pyramids. If you didn't have those things, this book might be really good for you. And I still stand by this book. I love it. I'm hoping that the next time we cover Ancient Egypt, we can get more in depth into this book. I would like to. This is Egypt Magnified. My kids love these books. It's from Wide Eyed Publishing. We actually have a pirate one along the same lines as this, and I think a knight's one. Anyways, it's kind of like a Where's Waldo type of a thing, but you're looking for the 10 things that it's told you to spot. There's a little bit of information on each page that you can read. So it's nice. Really good time filler. So if you're like working with one child and the other one's done, the one that's done can kind of go through this. Or if you have one child that's like a little bit fidgety and needs something to do while you're explaining something, these are great because they could be looking through this. You could be reading a story and they're going to listen. They're going to hear the story. Just looking for something in a picture is not going to make them lose track of what they're listening to out loud. You'd be surprised how much they still absorb, even while kind of doing some kind of a small task while you're reading. Okay, This book we never used, and I'm a little bit bummed. And then we brought it on our little road trip. We actually went to Mississippi to hand my kids off, and we visited some family that actually some of them hadn't even met my husband. It had been that long. So when we went, this is like stuck. I put some of these materials that maybe we hadn't gone through yet or that I thought we could use in the car. I put them in a bag, and my baby, my 1-year-old, spilled his water in the bag because I put the bag by his feet. And then he dumped out his little sippy cup thing, which didn't have very much water in it, but anyways, so we never used this, but I'm sure we can at some point, and so I'm going to hang on to it. I might even just leave it out because maybe when we talk about our next unit study is botany, maybe when we talk about farming, we can pull some of these stickers out because we talked a lot about the way the Egyptians farmed and how they used the Nile to farm. So I don't know. We'll see. This needs to stay out and dry though. I got this from Rainbow Resource. If you're wondering, I thought this would be good for journaling. All right, then we did this book, Hieroglyphs. We read this one cover to cover. Lots of fantastic information in here about hieroglyphs. I mean, just really a lot of information. This, you wouldn't think it looking at it, but this is a good book, information-wise. Then we have the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Fun with Hieroglyphs. We use this almost every day of this unit. My kids use this in their journaling. They loved it. They love to spell things out. We referenced this when we were painting on our tiles and our canopic jars. They loved this so much. I would love to find more stamps like this for other symbols and phrases and words because they loved it. I mean, they really loved this so much. Really, really liked that. Okay, then we have these Paint Your Own Papyrus. These came in a pack of 6. I already stowed away the ones my kids did in their completed work, where I store their completed work for the year. But these are the 3 that did not get painted. And we'll just put these with these books. And the next time we do this unit, we'll have those ready to go. Professor Noggin's Ancient Civilizations. I love these. My kids love these. We played this game heavily throughout this unit study. And then I forgot that I had this one because I didn't pull it out for some reason, but I figured I'd show it to you guys. This is Countries of the World. This is helpful when you're doing any kind of, study on an ancient region. Sometimes it's fun to have something like this for the geography side of it, but we totally forgot about this. Something else that we did though, to throw in for geography is we went through 5 lessons in the Gather Around Homeschool Africa unit study. And I intend to kind of bit by bit go through that unit study over the next, several weeks or several months, because I really did like that. And we did talk about the Egypt within those lessons. So some extra geography. That's kind of how we fit that in. Match a Mummy. This is just a memory game. Oh my gosh. Really? Come on. I've seen these on Amazon and Rainbow Resource, but you just, you match the different things. And it's funny because we would see some of these symbols like in our text or whatever, and Lincoln would be quick to say like, hey, that's in our Match a Mummy game, or that picture's in our Match a Mummy game. That's a canopic jar. I saw that in the card. So like, I think this is the one he remembered. And he was like, oh, I've seen that picture before. I've seen one of those before. So yeah, it's just different pictures that kind of tie into ancient Egypt. We actually have one of these for our botany unit too. I think it's like Match a Leaf or something. Anyways, really great. And then a game that we all really enjoyed. I loved it so much. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for other games by this company because we loved it so much. This is Emotep, Builder of Egypt. Really, really liked it. There's plenty of playthroughs of this game on YouTube if you are interested. That's actually, we read the instructions, then we watched somebody play it on YouTube before we played it. Really, really good. yeah, kept us all kind of intrigued. We had some math involved and kind of counting and scoring, and so we really liked this one. So that's pretty much it. We didn't do any movies or videos within this unit this time. I'm sure there are some great ones. In fact, if you have some documentaries or TV shows or movies that would tie into ancient Egypt that you want to leave down below, please do. We did find some storytellings on, I think I found them on YouTube, of like different Egyptian princess kind of like fairy tale type stories, or like different tales that came from books that people did have readings here on YouTube. We watched, I think, a few of those. That's pretty much it. So if you have suggestions on movies or documentaries, things like that, leave them down below for me. We would have loved to do like a museum trip. We have a museum really close to us that has a whole area on ancient Egypt. They have a mummy in there. But it's been closed. So it hasn't reopened yet. So I would have loved to do that though with my kids for sure. So they had the last time that I went there, they had a really cool Egypt exhibit. And I think it was an exhibit I think it was a permanent one. Like I think it belongs to that museum. I'll have to check up on that and see also when they're opening. Anyways, these are the materials we use for our ancient Egypt unit study. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Keep a lookout for our botany unit study materials that are coming soon, and I will see you guys later.